The film begins with an elderly woman speaking admiringly about an entity called Setor. According to her, this creature protects her from all the evils and growing dangers of the forest. We are then introduced to her grandson Adam, who lives in a forest with the rest of his family. However, he is a man of few words and prefers to live in a cabin, isolated from everyone. Adam does not live completely alone, as he has his loyal dog as company. He decided to live in that forest after several tragedies involving his family because of the entity. The latest event involving the family was the mysterious death of Grandpa Jim and the disappearance of their mother. In search of the truth about the entity, Adam installed cameras throughout the forest, looking for some evidence of the creature's existence. Every night, Adam watches recordings of his grandmother Nani talking about Setor. That night, the entity seems to make contact with him while his dog growls fiercely. Adam comes back to his senses and notices the animal barking, but he ignores it. In the morning, Adam follows his hunting routine with the dog and also checks the cameras. Adam notices that one of the cameras is malfunctioning and decides to seek help. Later, he visits his brother Peter, who seems somewhat stressed, and Adam notices it. Peter also seems to be having contact with the entity, but refuses to believe it. Peter checks the camera and says it is just the memory card, deciding to help him. He informs Adam that Jim kept some things in his cabin and invites him to look for a card. On the way, Peter says that if he had known he would end up there, he would have taken his own life. Peter opens up to Adam and speaks badly about their sister Deborah, saying that she did not help their brother have a normal life. Peter says that if Adam had agreed to talk about Setor before, the family would have accepted him into the house instead of leaving him isolated in the cabin. They arrive at the property, and Adam looks for the card while Peter goes inside to talk to Nani. The grandmother comments that her memory is weak, having days when she cannot remember many things. However, despite the forgetfulness, she says she remembers Jim every day. While searching for the card, his sister-in-law Ebby approaches and says they need to talk about him. Adam remains silent, but notices the strange movement of the crows. Later, Peter leaves his brother near his house and returns. Adam takes the opportunity to replace the card and calls his dog with an improvised whistle. However, the animal does not appear, which is strange since he always obeys the calls. Back at the cabin, Adam listens to another of Nani's reports about how to summon Setor. According to her, when he is summoned, the creature will give its full attention to the person. The person must surrender completely to him and will have to trust him entirely. Nani says that the person will also go through the test of suffering before being purified. Later, he decides to rest a little. However, he hears a noise inside the cabin. He tries to turn on the lamp, but it malfunctions, so Adam lights the place with a flashlight. More noises echo, causing him to point the light into the darkness, when suddenly a fierce bark echoes. This frightens Adam, but he does not let himself be intimidated and continues to investigate. Adam realizes it is only his dog, which has returned home. The animal seems frightened and desperately tries to leave the cabin. When Adam opens the door, the animal runs toward the forest. Adam notices a light in the woods and once again seems to enter a trance state, having the same vision as before, where he finds himself in a dark place with a strong flame in front of him. In the morning, Adam wakes from that trance and decides to go out to search for his dog in the forest. However, after walking through the woods for a long time and finding no sign of the animal, he gives up and returns alone to the cabin, where he decides to check the recordings. However, he sees nothing strange in the footage, and the scene cuts to him doing his morning chores. Next, we see Peter talking to Grandma Nani. However, she is very confused because of the illness and can no longer remember her own grandson. While they talk, Adam enters the house and ends up reminiscing about the old days. Soon after, he refocuses and grabs a shotgun to protect himself. At the same time, Nani continues talking about Setor, saying that he is like a human being. According to her, the entity lives somewhere in the forest but has the ability to enter people's minds. Nani states that Setor has always been aware of everything around him. She also reveals that she was taught and trained by him to become his loyal servant. While looking at a photo of his mother beside his grandmother, Adam is questioned by Ebby about why he is carrying the gun. He replies that his dog ran away, and Ebby laments the situation. She asks if he believes something may have hurt the animal. Without knowing how to answer, Adam only says he will stay alert. During another conversation, Peter shows fear of losing control of his own mind. He explains that Setor has the power to erase the family's past, and that deeply frightens him. Peter reveals that he can no longer remember the accident, not even the face of his girlfriend Evie. Hearing this, Adam realizes that the entity is slowly stealing all of their memories. Later, Adam prints a photo captured by the camera and observes it when someone knocks on the door. He quickly arms himself and leaves the cabin, discovering that it is Eben. She says she came to deliver something she found hidden in Nani's house, and Adam invites her inside. While they talk, Ivy recalls the accident and says she is happy Peter was not hurt. Then, she hands over the object she mentioned, and Adam realizes it is a family album. He looks at the photos sadly, and Ivy laments the loss of his mother. She also asks if they managed to find her, but Adam says no. Evie comments that she went through a similar situation, but is grateful to have Peter supporting her. However, Adam does not show much interest in the conversation and continues looking at his mother's photo. Suddenly, he begins hearing voices, and when he stands up, he notices that Eben is no longer there. At the same time, he sees a strong flame outside. The cabin lights go out, and Adam quickly lights an oil lamp to illuminate the place. After checking that no one is nearby, he goes to the computer and tries to turn it on. Suddenly, he is startled to notice someone behind him wearing a bone mask. Adam continues pointing the gun at that figure while trying to understand it, until he realizes it is only a human being. Calmer, he lowers the weapon and starts observing him, noticing that the figure is holding his photo. Suddenly, a voice on the radio catches his attention, saying that Setor was looking for him. The voice states that Setor knows him, knows his entire routine, and that if he connects with the entity, everything in his life will become more wonderful than he ever imagined. Suddenly, the stranger stands up and walks to a corner while Adam remains alert. Soon, the person removes the sinister mask, and Adam approaches to see his face. He realizes it is a completely bald figure, while once again the voice on the radio echoes, saying that there is nothing hidden that will not be revealed, nor secrets that cannot be discovered. The voice continues praising Setor while the strange figure hands the photo to Adam. Once again, the lights go out, and when he notices, the figure has disappeared. Adam nervously goes outside, but finds only a cold and lonely atmosphere. In the morning, he goes out with Peter to search for his dog, but the two cannot find it. Later, they talk, and Peter comments that they should have helped Deborah more. According to him, the responsibility of taking care of the grandparents ended up overwhelming her, and they could have done something to help her. During the conversation, Adam remains strange while Peter continues talking. He shares his theory that Jim actually sacrificed himself to the creature, adding that there are many strange things in their family. According to Peter, their grandfather sacrificed himself so that their mother could be free from the entity. He concludes by saying that both had help from Nani, since she knows Sator. Later, Peter says goodbye to his brother and notices that he is acting strangely. Adam returns home and looks at his mother's photo one last time before throwing it away. He also tries to burn the family album, but gives up and starts observing it. Meanwhile, we see a recording from the past where the family was celebrating Adam's birthday. However, the children feel the absence of their mother, and Deborah, who is filming everything, decides to go to the bedroom to look for her. Upon entering the room, she finds her mother holding a radio and writing several strange things. As soon as she notices the recording, the woman immediately becomes furious and hurriedly expels her daughter. At that moment, we realize that Adam's mother was already completely under the entity's control. Later, Peter talks to Deborah and says they need to take those papers away from her. Deborah replies that they also need to get Adam out of there because he is starting to be affected in the same way. She fears that her brother will end up doing something under the control of the voices and that it will destroy his life. Then, Deborah approaches Adam and asks if he is okay, but he only wants to know if he hurt someone. She replies no and asks where his mind goes when he enters that state. Deborah also asks if someone is talking to him, just like what happened with their mother and nanny. Adam replies yes, but when she mentions Satyr, Adam falls completely silent and the recording ends. At night, Adam keeps staring at his mother's photo when he starts hearing heavy footsteps around the cabin. He realizes that thing is looking for him and gathers the courage to leave his hiding place. Quickly, Adam grabs his weapon and leaves the cabin to investigate what is roaming the area. While walking through the dark and silent forest, he eventually finds Eben tied to a tree in the middle of nowhere, completely defenseless. Adam runs toward her and desperately starts untying her, but when she wakes up, the girl panics upon realizing it is him there. Frightened, Evie tries to flee, but Adam loses control of his body due to a supernatural influence and ends up trying to strangle her against his own will. Even in despair, Evie manages to escape running through the forest, but during the escape something supernatural happens. An invisible force violently pulls her into the sky, making the girl disappear before Adam's eyes. Soon after, terrifying growls and heavy footsteps begin echoing throughout the forest. Adam realizes that something is watching him in the shadows and starts running desperately without looking back. During the escape, he even encounters a strange elderly woman standing in the middle of the woods, simply observing everything in silence. Frightened by that disturbing vision, Adam starts running again in complete despair. In the morning, Adam wakes up in the cabin increasingly obsessed with the entity, following the same dark path as his mother and grandmother. He spends hours analyzing the new photos captured by the cameras spread throughout the forest until he notices strange silhouettes appearing among the trees. Adam sighs deeply, showing that he can no longer endure living hunted by that mysterious presence. During the night, he lights several candles throughout the cabin and begins mentally preparing himself as if he knew something was about to happen. Shortly afterward, creatures begin appearing in the cabin and enter searching for him. Taking advantage of a brief moment of distraction from those things, Adam desperately runs into the forest. After fleeing for some time, he tries to stop to catch his breath, but realizes that the creatures continue approaching closer and closer. While running aimlessly, Adam ends up stumbling and falling onto the snow-covered ground. Still gasping, he notices the entrance to a mysterious cave and decides to approach it. At the back of the place, a strong light catches his attention, and guided by the disturbing voices echoing in his head, Adam decides to enter. Inside the cave, he finally comes face to face with Sator, who appears as a macabre figure covered with skins, bones, and grotesque parts. The instant he looks at the creature, Adam enters a deep trance and completely loses the ability to react, making it clear that his mind has been fully dominated by the entity. Later, Peter walks alone through the snow searching for some game, while Deborah remains in the main house taking care of Grandma Nani. During this time, Deborah starts searching through the papers scattered around the house and also hears her grandmother talking about Satyr again. Among the documents, she finds disturbing drawings and decides to ask if Nani knew that her mother also heard those voices. The elderly woman replies no, and Deborah comments that she believes their mother ended up wanting to join the entity, which is why she disappeared. Nani admits that this possibility exists, and shortly afterward asks her granddaughter to read one of the written texts. Deborah begins reading, saying that they were chosen by the furnace of suffering, and that now they must deliver an offering through fire to achieve Satyr's purification. Suspicious, Deborah asks if her grandmother remembers the day Jim died. Nani replies yes, stating that it was a very sad day and that Jim was deeply involved with all of that. She reveals that she even spoke with him about his own death, and it seemed that Jim had already accepted his fate. According to Nani, on a certain day Jim left the house, lay down on the grass outside, and a few hours later was found dead. Deborah then comments that his death ended up bringing many problems for Peter and Eben. Deborah says that her brother is going away for a summer vacation, and that she needs Nani to say goodbye to him. She explains that Peter is having problems and needs time to think. Without making demands, Nani says she intends to do everything possible to make him feel welcomed. Meanwhile, Peter is fishing, but after failing to catch anything, he decides to return. Later, he talks to his sister and asks if she thinks the illness is hereditary. Deborah asks if he is talking about Nanny's dementia, but Peter says he is referring to the voices. Deborah replies that she would be happy if it were only that, because Nanny never hurt anyone. Peter comments that their mother did not either, but that irritates Deborah. She says that he still thinks Sator killed Jim and claims that Peter should be institutionalized again. He avoids arguing, but asks if he can see Adam, and Deborah quickly answers no. Peter says he feels bad about leaving him alone, and Deborah asks if he has never realized how dangerous Adam can be. Later, Peter says goodbye to his sister, who hugs him and wishes him luck. However, he does not want to leave without seeing his brother and decides to visit him. Peter arrives at Adam's cabin and starts looking for him, but finds no one, so he decides to settle in while waiting for his brother, when suddenly he notices Eben in front of him. Moments later, he is surprised and brutally attacked by a stranger. Peter ends up being burned alive, just as Sator demands, and then we discover that the killer was Adam. Meanwhile, at the main house, Deborah remains worried about her brother. Suddenly, Nani begins acting strangely, and we realize there is someone inside the house. The elderly woman starts leaving the place, but Deborah pays no attention, believing she simply went to sleep. Later, Deborah looks for Nani and realizes that she has disappeared. Quickly, she leaves the house to search for her when she encounters Adam completely changed. He stares at her with an empty gaze, and Deborah begins to cry, already foreseeing what is about to happen. Suddenly, Adam grabs her by the neck and throws her to the ground. At that moment, Ivy also appears at the scene, but Deborah has no time to understand the situation because Adam pours gasoline over her and quickly burns her alive. Adam completes another sacrifice and watches his sister burn. She screams in pain. Then, he enters the main house, where he sits beside Nani and Sator.